Good morning. You're joining us live here on India Today's social media handles. I'm Akshita Nandagopal joining you this morning with all the top stories that you need to know. Let's begin with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to America. In the last 1.5 years or so, because of the pandemic, everything turned virtual. So we saw very few diplomatic visits really happening, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi is essentially resuming with a very high profile visit, a 5-day visit to America that begins today. Prime Minister Modi is flying to America, to Washington DC. He'll be landing there, and it's going to be a very important visit for India diplomatically, considering the timing also with what's happening in Afghanistan, the COVID pandemic and whatnot. But I just want to give you essentially a sense of what is expected in this particular visit of the Prime Minister to America. Number one, the reason is very important is because this is the first visit by Prime Minister Modi to America since Joe Biden took over as the US President. I know it seems like it happened a lifetime ago, but the reality is that it happened amid a pandemic. So since then, while the Prime Minister has met Biden virtually a number of times, he's never met him in person. That's going to happen for the first time in this visit. There's also going to be an in-person Quad summit where countries will be coming together discussing a number of global issues, Afghanistan being the focus there, terrorism another issue, climate change, all of that will come up. Again, the Quad summit has been held virtually time and again, where the Prime Minister has also attended. But again, the first in-person Quad summit, world leaders coming together in one stage for that. Besides that, Prime Minister Modi is also going to be meeting with Vice President Kamala Harris, a photo op I'm sure that everyone is looking forward to. Remember that soon after the win of the Democrats really in that November election in the United States, Prime Minister Modi had tweeted a very personal message to Kamala Harris and the fact that she is an Indian origin American citizen. So that is something also that will be in focus. And then you've got Prime Minister Modi addressing the United Nations General Assembly. The UNGA in the past, when Prime Minister Modi has spoken there, he's always focused on a number of issues that matter to us, whether it's on terror, about keeping our borders safe, about maritime security, cyber security, climate change. These are some issues that he always picks up every time he speaks at the United Nations. Expect more of that this time around, but also with the theme centered around the fact that we're dealing with the pandemic, about vaccines, etc. All of that is going to come up when the Prime Minister speaks at the UNGA. So a packed 5-day visit schedule where there's going to be a number of headlines, and we'll be getting you the latest updates here on India Today. The Prime Minister is embarking on that visit today, which is why it's our top focus here as well. You can of course catch all the details about his schedule, what's on the agenda, all of that on our social media handles as well. Another story that's been dominating headlines really for the last 2 days is the sudden death of the revered and renowned seer Mahant Narendra Giri. And I just want to give you a sense of what's happened investigation wise, because there have been a lot of developments on the story and the investigation is progressing as we speak. Now, there are 3 people who've been taken into custody, all of whom have been named in the suicide note that was recovered from the room in which Mahant Giri's body was found. One of them, Anant Giris, disciple of Mahant Narendra Giri. 2 others are priests at, in fact, a temple in Prayagraj. So they've also been taken into custody. 3 of them are currently being questioned. FIR mentions abetment to suicide as the charge. But amid this, there are in fact a lot of questions about whether there's more than what meets the eye, about whether there's a conspiracy in place. Because, there have been a lot of comments made about the suicide note, which reportedly runs to 15 pages. Some saying that they've never seen the seer actually writing in his own writing like that. So that's the question mark, whether this suicide note is authentic or not. But the police reportedly have also recovered a video which was recorded minutes before he took his own life. So Mahant Giri there has again named Anant Giri and several others. On India Today, we also have a very interesting report on Anant Giri. A lot of questions, huge spotlight on him and what exactly his role was. And if you look at the kind of pictures and videos that come to the fore, when you think of a seer, you think of someone with a very simplistic life. That wasn't the case for Anant Giri. He owned luxury cars, he'd go globe trotting, and then he'd put up vlogs about his traveling experience. There are videos of him skydiving and doing yoga mudras while descending from the sky. Those are the kind of videos, and that's the kind of lifestyle that Anant Giris really lived. He is in custody right now, but very, very interesting to really look at what his life was like and his entire profile that we've dug deep into. So that report is also here on India Today. It's a story that we're tracking closely, particularly because of all the claims and counterclaims that are being made. The Uttar Pradesh police have assured that there will be a detailed investigation. The Uttar Pradesh government has said that if there is a need, they will go ahead and order a CBI investigation as well. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk about one story that came in yesterday, and it's a huge one. 21,000 crores worth of drugs being seized from a port in Gujarat. Now, these drugs were brought in reportedly from Afghanistan. It originated from Afghanistan and was found by agencies in a Gujarat port. The Enforcement Directorate is going to be stepping in this particular case. They're going to be filing a case as well after preliminary investigation under the PMLA, which is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Now, at this point, the information that we have, and this is based on, whether you've seen the story or not, that you had the DRI actually going ahead and detaining 2 consignments. These were 2 containers with 40 tons each, and they had in fact got a tip off that there could be drugs in these consignments. Not sure if they really knew that it would be worth 21,000 crore rupees. So this is no doubt the biggest drug haul yet. And again, it's led to a lot of questions about how Afghanistan has sourced drugs for the last many years to India, and with the Taliban takeover, what really that means for us. We're getting you details about the investigation here on India Today as well. The ED, after going through the details, will be going ahead and filing a case in this particular incident. We understand that there's been an arrest also with regards to smuggling of drugs. A Chennai-based couple have been taken into custody in Delhi for smuggling 3,000 kilos of heroin from Afghanistan. This particular seizure also was largely heroin from Afghanistan. So that's the story that we'll get you the latest on as the investigation progresses. The ED today perhaps will be going ahead and filing a case. Now, I know that there's been a lot of curiosity on the vaccine front, and there's been a lot of discussion. When are we going to see the Pfizer vaccine coming to India? When are we going to be seeing Moderna? The news that's coming this morning is that India has said we don't need either of these vaccines. Why? Because they've said that the domestic output of vaccines that are being produced here, you look at Covishield, Covaxin, other vaccines also which are being done in tie-up with India. They've said that the output of these vaccines, which are more affordable, easier to store, so makes sense for India, that output has increased. So India is saying we no longer need any other vaccine, and there's no question of buying Pfizer or buying Moderna from these US companies. Remember that these are vaccines that you have to actually purchase. So you have to get into a deal, assign a certain amount of money, because they said very clearly that they're not going to get into business with any private stakeholders or private companies. They also put forth a condition saying that, there has to be a clause that protects us from any sort of legal repercussions if there are side effects to the vaccine. That was really the biggest stalemate that we saw in the last many months. That's why we didn't see Pfizer or Moderna coming to India. But now it's not going to happen, because while there was a lot of talk that, we are going to see it happen in the months to come, India said we have absolutely no need for that. So I know some people who've been saying that, we're going to wait for the Pfizer vaccine. Don't do that. Just get the vaccine that you can afford to get, whatever's closest to you, whatever's easily available. Ensure you get vaccinated. Don't wait for this vaccine and that vaccine. This news perhaps confirms that we cannot afford to do all of that. The government has a plan in place, and they're going to stick by that. Because of the fact that we're also producing a lot of vaccine stock now, and our vaccine drive really is on track so far, fingers crossed. We are also now sending out vaccines to other countries that need it under the WHO's initiative, the COVAX initiative, which we are a part of. We were initially sending vaccines, and you saw that also. It was called the Vaccine Maitri Initiative. Now, under that, we've again restarted sending vaccines to other countries which are in need of it. And this is something that there's no doubt the Prime Minister is going to elucidate when he speaks at the UNGA about how there's a need for us together as humanity, as one race, to come together and help countries that are in need of vaccine doses that cannot afford to buy from big companies. The WHO has also put out a note thanking India for its initiative of ensuring that more vaccines are available and equally distributed across the world as well. So those are some of the top stories that we're tracking this morning. I just also wanted to quickly get you updated on social media. What's trending is the farmers' protest, 300 days of the farmers' protest against the farm laws. And what's really happened on the ground, you're still seeing every few weeks farmers are up in arms, going all out on a rampage. But it's clear at this point that the stalemate, while it continues in the run-up to the elections in Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, these are states where, of course, these issues matter the most. You're not really seeing any change as far as the government stand is concerned. They're saying we will hold talks, but we will not roll back the farm law. So that deadlock continues. I just wanted to highlight that because it's trending currently on social media. These are some of the stories which we are continuing to track through the day, and we'll continue to keep you updated on. That's all I have time for on this broadcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you're having a great day.